Welcome to What the Hell. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about past lives. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and it's scientifically thought out on this one, is only because of the whole basic fact of genetic memory.
Yeah.
Like we end up having skills that we don't know we had, and like making fire, or that whole thing of the chalk scratch on chalkboard. That it's basically one of those things that it was what do you call it? The cats, the big cats and everything, were any kind of predator that had claws, and it was a breaking of on rocks.
Yeah. There was a
movie just recently called Infinite. That was another thing that just popped in my head to do that.
The doctrine of metempsychosis is, above all, neither absurd nor useless. It is not more surprising to be born twice than once. Everything in nature is resurrection, and that was Voltaire. Known also as metempsychosis and transmigration. Reincarnation and the concept of past lives has existed for thousands of years, spanning back to the ancient Celtic, Greek, Asian, and Indian traditions. These days, about 51% of the world's population believe in some form of an afterlife, with about 7% believing that we are ultimately reincarnated. One of the most intrinsic beliefs of reincarnation is that most of us have lived many lives before, and sometimes we can actually remember these past lives. These past lives and past selves we tend to identify with as extensions of ourselves and our egos. However, as Soul elaborated in a previous article on reincarnation, quote, reincarnation of an individual self is only as possible to the extent of believing that your sense of self, your ego, is real. Two identities who are dwelling within two different physical bodies in the present or in the past will be two very distinct personalities. In truth, the I is a transitioning, ever-changing phenomenon. Although our identities and senses of self are ever-changing, there is something that remains the same. There is something within us that is constant and continuous, and that is pure awareness. It is this very pure awareness which serves as the experiencer and observer of life. And it is this pure awareness that we can refer to as our soul. This understanding of reincarnation closely resembles that of the Buddhist idea that the continuity continues but the individual disappears. So although it is not necessarily you or me who has experienced reincarnation in past lives, the ever-present soulful essence within us has. That was, wow. I found an article, lonerwolf.com. It says 11 signs that your soul has been reincarnated many times. Past lives and, quote, your soul. Let me see here. What does it say? Number one, reoccurring dreams. Dreams are reflections of the unconscious mind, and while repetitive dreams may sometimes signify trauma, fear, or issues that your brain is trying to process, quote-unquote, unfinished business, repetitive dreams can also potentially be reflections of past life experiences. Many people claim to have experienced certain events, seen particular people, or gone to specific places frequently in their dreams that feel very familiar and somehow recognizable. For example, I have often recurring dreams of a 15th century castle. This is not me, but the author of this article. Recurring dreams of a 15th century castle that I have a distinct feeling of knowing very well, yet I have never seen or been to this castle before in waking life. Out-of-place memories. There are recorded instances of young children who have had out-of-place memories that later proved to be oddly accurate in detail. While out-of-place memories could be due to simple fantasies, misunderstandings, or an inconcurrency in the ability to remember, there is mounting evidence that suggests that out-of-place memories could reveal connections to past lives. Past lives, thank you. You have strong intuition. The intuition is the ability to balance the conscious and unconscious mind and tap into our deeper well springs of primal wisdom and intimate knowledge, or innate knowledge. It is said that the more we soulfully mature, the more we are closer to returning to the source, known as also as nirvana, eternity, or oneness. from which our souls can come from, and from which the collective unconscious, a body of universal knowledge, exists. Then there's also deja vu, or the glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. That's more of glitch in the matrix
Yeah,
type deal.
but I mean, it goes into deja vu. It breaks into like the possibility of other dimensions, parallel universes, being an empath. Empaths often absorb the emotions and, in some instances, the physical pains of those around them, literally empathizing or directly feeling and experiencing what others experience. Empaths go into greater depth about this unique breed of people. Well, the author of this article goes into greater depth. It talks about identifying as an empath and absorbing the emotions of others could be seen in some instances as a psychological form of avoidance to bypass one's own problems and pin the blame on others. In other genuine cases, it can be seen as a sign of a soul that has undergone many previous reincarnations and has refined to the point of transcending the individual self and its problems extending to others as well. Ooh, okay. Okay, so there's an Amber Alert out. Okay.
Yeah. But the thing I was getting at is like certain people are good at like really they have the talent.
Yeah.
Maybe that talent isn't like talent. Maybe the genetic memory of that being able to do that is always there, and it gets passed down. It's like that having a family of piano players.
Right. It's called retrocognition.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite of precognition, which is known as future sight or second sight.
Mm-hmm.
It refers to the ability to obtain information not usually available without past events. These past events could be in your own lifetime or sometime in the distant past. And of course, retrocognition, unlike precognition, is not easy to prove or verify. However, for those who have genuinely experienced it, this ability could also be a sign of soulful reincarnation. They also talk about you feel older than your age reflects.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are perpetually young at heart, i.e., us.
Yeah.
Even into later lives, and in the same manner, some people just seem to have been born with old souls. So I hear that a lot too, like, oh, you've got an old soul. The experience of feeling older than your age reflects is commonly associated with having been reincarnated many times over, and this is echoed in the soul age theory, where there's a certain progression of soulful development from infant souls to awakened souls. For example, if you've reincarnated a few times on Earth, this would be reflected in the age of your energy, and in this life you will display many primitive and childlike characteristics. However, if your soulful energy is reincarnated many times over, you will display many matured and wizened characteristics, such as ones mentioned in the article. And if you feel older than your age reflects, then you might be a mature or old soul. And it goes on to talk about, like, if you've got a great affinity for certain cultures, time periods, and environments. It's said that having a great unexplainable attraction to certain cultures or time periods is kind of like a past life residue reminiscent of a certain place, culture, or environment that your soul may have experienced in past lives. For instance, you may have an inexplicable affinity to Asian culture, Celtic artifacts, or the 19th century. And then you've got unexplainable fears or phobias. Many believe that certain memories or experiences that can pass or leave residues in our childhoods and adulthoods from past lives. Whether this is true or is simply a form of problem bypassing, many believe that we can experience the echoes of past traumas in our own lifetimes in the form of unexplainable fears and phobias. Examples can include the fear of drowning, the fear of certain types of animals, and the fear of certain places, the fear of particular numbers, colors, objects, and so forth. And then was it number 11 here? You feel as though this earth is not your home. This is the interesting one.
Oh, wow, okay.
The yearning to find your home can be seen as a reflection of the desire to return back to the source. Many people feel that this yearning to be reminiscent of an athlete running a long race and longing to reach the finish line. In the same manner, souls have reincarnated many times over express this basic need for finally completing the cycle and returning home. Feeling that this earth is not your home is often accompanied by chronic feelings of tiredness or weariness for life on earth. So, in other words, like from a theological standpoint, they're talking about like they're tired of being here,
Yeah.
and it's like nothing here is satisfying. Nothing here is fulfilling. That just they feel like they've been running the same race over and over and over and over and over again. They like when they finally pass on, that they don't want to come back. They want to just go home and rest.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point on the fact of like the movie Altered Carbon, where they had the stacks and
yeah,
they get in another body and everything like that. And there was a scene, and I think it was or episode 4 or 3, where the grandmother of the detective just said, "Don't spin me back up." Basically, spinning up in that genre is basically, don't put me in another body to reminisce of my past. I'm done. You're never finished with whatever you're doing. And that's what a lot of people like had the stacks, and they just keep on getting into a new body and everything like that. Because no matter what, you're in life, you really are never finished with anything.
yeah, no. I mean,
It's hard to let go.
it is, and so from a spiritual standpoint, while the concept of virtual I mean, because basically Altered Carbon was, I mean, it was just a dystopian possibility for virtual immortality, because at that point, yeah, I mean, we still got the tried and true, unstacked human beings. I mean, well, everybody's stacked, but you've got those people that are like they've got that, it's like a DNR kind of a thing. It's like when their bodies die or when their sleeves die, that it's that's it. Don't re-sleeve me, kind of a thing.
Well, they also in there they had the religious aspect where if
Yeah, because in the first season, no, it was the second season.
No, it was the first season.
It was the first season. The cop, her family they were Catholic.
Yeah, devout Catholic.
Devout Catholics, and and they weren't stacked.
Yeah.
So, but the daughter was. The cop was stacked, and they were always giving her kind of like this. They weren't giving her crap about it, so to speak, but they would like get their little barbs in, or they would just tell her like, "Hey, look, we're really concerned for your soul."
Yeah.
And I think that as far as like that Altered Carbon universe, that show takes place in, they never really addressed the soul of a person, because I mean, like you said, it's genetic memory, and at that point, I mean, they take your consciousness and they download it into a deck,
Yeah.
into a stack that can be reinserted into another sleeve. And then obviously they broke into all these governing rules, like there's no double sleeving and
Yeah.
things of that nature. And then you get these like military grade sleeves where they come preloaded with
Muscle memory.
For like advanced combat
Or like
tactics and things like that.
the second one where he had like some kind of magnetic thing to where he basically can pull the gun from
Yeah,
anywhere.
that was the one with Anthony Mackie in it, right?
Yeah.
But
But it was like the whole theory of Infinite with Mark Wahlberg on Paramount Plus. Yeah,
I have not watched that one yet, but
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good entertainment. It's good to watch once, basically.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, because I finally got caught up with that whole Yellowstone fever, and dude, I'm absolutely loving that show. But
Yeah, because you're cowboying up a little bit more now.
well, no, I'm dressing that way again, because more and more, because I used to dress that way a lot,
Yeah, Maria told me about that.
and
'Cause I still can't. I lived the cowboy life way too much when I was younger,
yeah,
and I just can't stand it anymore. I mean, I every once in a while you'll see me in some cowboy boots, and I still like Wranglers. Wranglers are comfortable for me, but
Yeah.
but I like 511, not because, military aspect, but
They're comfortable.
they're comfortable,
Right.
and you have enough pockets to put all the stuff that you want.
From a tactical standpoint, I mean, from the
They're just good
from the
work pants.
professions that you and I used to have when we were in the military, it provides us freedom of movement, provides us with storage capacity, and just the overall comfort and durability of those. Because like I'm wearing a pair of 511 pants right now, so it's I mean they're one of my favorite pairs of pants. I mean they really are. I mean they better be for $75 a pair, but
Unless you get them on sale, like some people do.
yeah, then you're only paying $65 a pair. But anyways,
I got mine for 45.
well, do you get the ones with the slant pockets on the back? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate those.
Why?
Because, dude, I have the billfold, and I have this innate fear that my wallet's going to fall.
Well,
out.
you also got to think it's very good for me because I carry on the time, and I don't have the slanted pockets. I can put the
Well, with
wallet
the pair that I've got, it's got the expandable waistband,
yeah, mine does.
so I can carry anyway.
Yeah, mine does too.
So regardless as to what style pant that you like, I mean they offer that.
Yeah, they
that
have
option, but
offered different
you know what I hate is the fact that like my fiance, she bought me a cinch vest, right? With the insulated vest.
Yeah.
She brought up a couple other options for me to kind of look at and try on, and they had ones that had concealed carry pockets in them. Mm-hmm. They were only on the left side for right-handed carriers, and I'm like, that is so fucking offensive and discriminatory.
Well, you got to think most of the people are right-handed.
Yeah, I know,
mean,
but
I totally get it.
Everybody's born right-handed, but the truly exceptional ones overcome that problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Southpaw's rule.
Yeah. Okay, whatever.
I mean, you don't hear anybody talking about, well, if you're right-handed and can throw 90 miles an hour, you can find a job anywhere in baseball. No, they say that about Southpaws. I mean, if you can throw 90 plus and you're left-handed, oh yeah, you can find a job on a pitching staff somewhere in the major leagues.
But anyways, what they were talking about, and this is just documentation. It takes like 10,000 hours just to become a professional at something.
Yeah.
And what if you had like 10,000 years a professional of something? I mean, you'd be pretty damn good at it.
Yeah. I mean, scary, but yeah.
Because in the movie, he was a Japanese katana bladesmith. That was one of his past lives. And he always, I mean...
You're talking about...
Infinite.
Oh, Infinite? Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you were talking about Altered Carbon, but I was like, no, he was basically a space ranger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not talking about Buzz Lightyear. Which funny, the Lightyear movie that's coming out, Chris Evans is doing the voice of Buzz Lightyear, and they're saying that it takes place in the same cinematic universe as the Star Wars stuff.
Fucking hate
Well, except it's in our galaxy, but it takes place. I don't know, because like there's supposed to be references, which makes sense because I mean Pixar, Disney, Star Wars, it's all the same company now. But I'm like, God, that is such a stretch. Please tell me Kathleen Kennedy had nothing to do with that decision.
No, they have a deal with all their movies that they have to reference one of their other movies in the movie. If you look at it, there's some kind of reference in some of the movies, and it's in the contracts and everything of when the picture is being made. So people go back and go, oh, I remember that movie. I'll go back and watch it, or I'll go back and buy it, or I'll get the merchandise from that. So,
but yeah,
that's the reason. If you look at, well, now, was it Infinity Wars? Peter Parker referenced aliens because they owned Fox at that moment.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, don't make any more pop culture references.
But they didn't say.
Who was it? Who was it? Peter Quill was asking.
Footloose.
Oh, is Kevin Bacon the greatest? Still the greatest actor? He never was.
Yeah.
But okay. So to the Kevin Bacon reference, Kevin Bacon is supposed to have a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. But I don't know if I necessarily buy into the reincarnation.
I don't.
Theory.
I don't buy into the reincarnation. I buy into the genetic memory.
Yeah, genetic memory,
That is a real thing, and that's where people got probably where they got reincarnation.
yeah, I mean, because we've had a lot of historical figures throughout the course of human history talk about how they believe that they lived a past life. To include one of the more notable people was General Patton during World War II. And I had told you briefly, he in an interview he believed that in a past life he was a Roman centurion. So he was born. He was naturally inclined to be a leader of men, massive armies,
Or just go to war.
yeah, or just be a war fighter. So it's like, huh, you know, and every once in a while, like I've even experienced it where, like, I'll have just some kind of like crazy, just random ass either a daydream or just a full on dream where, like, you imagine like you're at a place, and it's like you remember like little details about a place that really those only kind of, unless you're reading something that's very documented or something, or you've been there, you shouldn't know those details, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I remember that, and I'm like, how did I know that? Because I don't remember reading about it, or I don't remember seeing it on like a History Channel special or anything like that.
Well, if you look at it this way, and this is another scientific thought on it, all DNA is just basically memory from, if you look at it as a computer software stuff.
Yeah.
DNA or cellular structure of how a body's supposed to be is in the DNA. The DNA has a lot of memory, and that memory can be like how your muscles are going to be built because you're built for this type of job in life. And that you can go like on and on and on with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because they start talking about old souls, I've heard that so many times, like, especially whenever you run into somebody who's just more mature than their age should allow, or you have somebody that they behave a certain way that just really nobody behaves that way anymore. Like, even more nowadays, like if a man is chivalrous,
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, you've got such an old soul.
Oh, they did finally finish it up.
What's that?
DNA data hard drives.
Oh, okay. Well, see, because like Satchel Paige, he used to pitch in the Negro Leagues and ultimately made his way into the major leagues. A very prolific pitcher. I mean, he's lauded as one of the greatest pitchers to ever play the game. He had a quote of saying, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you are?" I mean, you just think like that's some quirky ass like knowledge, but dude, if you try to break that down a little bit, it's kind of profound, right? So I mean, it's. I mean, we're talking about like your old in heart or your old in mind or your old in soul. If a person who is an old soul finds his or her outlook on life vastly different from a more matured than those around them, as a result, the old souls in that particular person's life internally, they'll be walking down their own solitary path, or they'll rest around a flock of, they'll rest around, people will find themselves like flocking around this person just to kind of like figures, like, oh, well, how like they say birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see people with the same mindsets or the same mentalities or the same tendencies. They tend to like group together because it's that commonality kind of attracts.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's like me and you. I mean, we never really met, but we clicked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because military background. That was just what got us like same mindset. It was like, okay, I'll talk to you a little bit. But it was more or less of our geekdom and nerdom.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had those commonalities. But once we stepped through those doors and started exploring those different commonalities, I mean, they started branching off. It was like variants, kind of branching off that main mother timeline, and instead of trying to eliminate them, it's like we just kind of ran with it and embraced it, and it's worked. It's been this like really kind of weird organic fluidity, and I'm like, man, like there's days where I'm just like, man, like I enjoy coming to the studio, but then there's other days I'm like, dude, I just want to find a place to hide the fucking body.
Yeah.
And I know that you're the same way, but we don't let that kind of like be the definitive thing that defines what our friendship is. And I don't know, it's hard to quantify in words.
Well, I did figure it out yesterday when we were hanging out with Maria. Well, I was hanging out with Maria, and I didn't say anything about her, but I was just thinking on the subject of like soulmates. How a lot of people they're just like, oh, I need to find my soulmate to marry them and everything like that, where we can be compatible and whatnot. And I was like, if you think about it. No. Hear me. Let me fucking
Go for it.
The soulmate is more or less the person that picks up the pieces when you're broken, and it doesn't have to be lover type deal or anything like that.
Okay.
It's you both know that. It's like me and you. If you have a shitstorm day, you know you can call me, and I go, okay, well this piece fits over here. Did you lose this little piece right over here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that common bond to where you can actually have that feel to where no matter what, you know that person's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, is a better definition of a soulmate. Nothing like that whole romantic bullshit and everything. It's just that you get it. You get that other person.
Yeah. No, I see where you're going with that. So, yeah. Let me see here. There have been a lot of people. Okay, so I started. I'm over here looking at the Old Soul articles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking people like Robert Frost, Jim Carrey, Oprah Winfrey, even Nick Jonas have been called old souls. And it says you tend to be a lone wolf. You're disinterested in the pursuits and interests of the people in their age groups, and you find it dissatisfying to make friends with people. And they're hard to relate to. Sense of alienation is one of the major problems old souls experience. The result is that old souls tend to find themselves alone a lot of the time. They struggle to connect deeply with others because most other people don't have the same interests or values as them. And so that right there, number one, tells me, hey, I don't have an old soul. And again, this isn't science. This is metaphysical stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fringe, right? You love knowledge, wisdom, and truth.
But that's most people.
That's most people.
Unless they're like criminals.
Well,
or they have like
social. Not even that. I mean, everybody we have this like innate, ingrained desire to learn. And whether they're Florida guys, Alabama rednecks, Tennessee hilljacks, whatever they might be, California hippies, or what have you.
Yeah.
People want to learn about just things in general. I mean, they desire. We as a race desire knowledge.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be classified as wisdom. It can be classified as truth. But when we start venturing into that area of what's known as truth, quote unquote, that's where the desire to learn and desire to gain that knowledge really shines through, because as we've learned over the past 12, 15 years, the term truth is pretty subjective.
Yeah, it's more or less the Star Wars thing.
And it's like, history is written by the victors.
Yeah.
And it's just, so whoever's in the White House at the time, they're the ones dictating what goes into the history.
Or if you would just want to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi, is like from a certain point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're spiritually inclined. So old souls tend to have sensitive or spiritual natures, experiencing a spiritual awakening, overcoming the confines of the ego, seeking enlightenment and self-realization. Fostering love and peace are often at the core of an old soul's ultimate quest in life. You understand the transience of life. They're frequently plagued with reminders of their own mortality and that everything and everyone around them. In fact, it's not uncommon for the old soul to have multiple existential crises throughout their lives, especially during difficult situations that highlight the impertinence or the impermanence of existence. It's kind of one of these, life is fleeting kind of people. It's like every decision that you make in life has like a butterfly effect on everything else, you're thoughtful or introspective. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're an old soul. That just means that you have a degree of depth about your character.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you get a lot of people that they're saying, okay, well, you're shallow. And it's not necessarily that they're looking at at the surface or judging a book by their cover. It just means that you don't take the time to think about things other than the immediate.
Okay. Ted Laszlo. Mm-hmm. God, what was it? Hold on.
Yeah, while you're looking that up here, you see the bigger picture. Old souls dislike getting lost in superficial details of gaining useless degrees.
Okay, the difference between a person that's judgmental and curious. Mm-hmm. He had this one scene where he was playing darts and everything like that, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'll get the soccer team back from my ex-wife," and he's like, "Well, okay, we'll play darts." He threw the darts. He was like, he got every hit. It was like he got bullied. Those people were just judgmental, and they weren't curious, because if they were curious, they would ask, "Hey, have you ever played darts, Ted?" And I would tell them, "Yes, I have. Ever since I was 7 years old, up until my dad died when I was 16." And boom, bullseye. I mean, it's better to be curious on people to get to know them and everything. I mean, even Abraham Lincoln had a quote to where he said he was at one of the senators' a funeral, and he's like, "I really didn't like the guy. I guess I didn't know him." Mm-hmm. Type of deal.
Yeah. You aren't materialistic. Wealth, status, fame, and the latest tech gadget. God, that is such a problem in this century. Old souls tend to take little interest in these things. After all, what's the point of seeking those socially paraded goals if they can be easily taken away? It's the whole life is fleeting thing, right?
Oh, I don't value money at that point, but it's to the point though of
yeah. I mean, while money's nice to have,
yeah,
I
would still
you can
like
always
to do
make
stuff.
more.
Yeah.
Do I value? I mean, like I have a 12 Pro, right? Or 12 Pro Max, right?
Yeah.
Do I want an iPhone 13 Pro Max? Yeah, sure. But I know that I can't afford that right now.
Well, my deal is like I got the 12 Pro Max. I could have waited until the 13 Pro Max. But the thing is I needed something better. It's more business oriented.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, my decision to go with. Yeah, I can still hear myself. Okay, so my decision to get this phone. One, better camera. I can take better pictures. And I was thinking more of, hey, this is for me to take pictures of my boys, take pictures of myself with the boys. But it was the bigger hard drive in the phone. The bigger memory space in the phone. Where when I had the 10R, I had like the mid range back then. It was what was it? It was like 56 gig or something like that. I can't remember. And then I got into the 128. I was like, oh well, I've still got plenty of room in this phone. But they talk about the existential crises again. You see life through a poetic or contemplative lens. I don't really see life as being poetic. And a lot of it is, I'm cynical about things, but that's just because of my life experiences. But my view on life has evolved. It hadn't necessarily changed. It's evolved over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
From understanding that people are going to let you down. I mean, that's just a realization of being
But
realistic.
It's more or less how bad they let you down.
Well, yeah. I mean, and people are always going to let you down in one way, shape, form, or fashion or the other. But whereas Mindy has come into my life, and I have really I've expanded upon my spirituality, and I'm talking about from a God standpoint, from a biblical standpoint. We do our devotionals every night. We pray every night.
Yeah.
And we really try to make God the center of our relationship, and we made that a point to do that first, before anything, before any kind of like physical intimacies,
Yeah.
Holding hands, hugging, kissing, things of that nature. But it's, we wanted to make sure that our relationship was more substantive as opposed to physical.
Yeah.
So that way we had a stronger foundation, and that foundation was centered on God. So I mean, we make Him the priority in our relationship, and it forces us into a position where we have to communicate.
Yeah.
And and instead of just like letting our egos get in the way or of our past experiences get in the way, yes, while we draw from our past experiences, we look at that as saying, okay, this is the prism that I'm looking through when I see this particular instance come up, or this particular circumstance come up. Understanding that you are not this person or you're not that person. We need to talk about A, B, and C, and we communicate our way through the different obstacles that we encounter.
And there's a lot of people that actually started doing that.
Yeah.
And have more healthier relationships with
Yeah,
them.
and I think a lot of it is, and I hate giving the flatten the curve and the quarantine and the staying, everybody's shutting down. I hate to give that any kind of props. I mean, one, yes, it forced us to focus more on family and family activities as a unit, as opposed to everybody kind of going off and doing their separate things out in the world.
Well, it was like what I did with Maria this weekend. Mm-hmm. She was asking, she was like, hey, I want to do more family stuff with me, my husband, and a son. I was like, like, do you do board games? It's like, just me and my son, we just do Clue. I was like, there are a plethora of other board games that you can try.
She hates Clue, though.
Oh, yeah, she really hates Clue. She told me that. She verifies she hates Clue.
Oh, fun fact. Okay, so whenever Mindy and I went to Boston, mm-hmm. the house where the murder took place, there was a murder at a house up in Boston, mm-hmm. Where the Clue board game was actually based off of that murder.
Oh.
So we walked past that house, and so she
cool.
pointed it out. Yeah, it was on. It was out by the bay. I forget what part of town that's in. Anyway, so she showed me that house, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool," So
okay. Well, I told her, I was like, "Well, what interests is your husband?" She was like sports and everything like that in his cars. And I was like, "Well, there's a card. It's called Formula D. Mm-hmm. It's basically a dice rolling card game." And I sent her that. And she's like, "Oh, I'll give that a try." But stuff like that, it's just, you find something that's common for each one of those persons, and you just bring it together.
Right.
And sometimes a lot of the weird nerdy stuff that we do. I mean, look at a lot of nerds that put everything on their kids and everything, and the family have like a family night, and they're doing games or D&D or stuff like that. Those families work.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, they go into like these. You enjoy the company of those much older than you because their energy matches your energy, and all like.
Yeah, I never got
that.
Although
you fall easily into the role of an advisor or a counselor. And I don't necessarily think that that's an exclusive thing to this old soul theory. I think that if, you carry yourself a certain way,
yeah,
it's like that adage, from the military. It's like when shit hits the fan, you look for the guy that's calm, cool, and collected. Follow him because he's about to cut wire and start sorting dudes out, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you want to find that person that has a knowledge, or at least gives the appearance of having a knowledge on how to negotiate an obstacle at that time. And
yeah, Marcus Luttrell had that one time.
Yeah.
Because they were in a firefight, and they just followed Marcus through the whole thing, and they came back. It's like, man, we just followed you. We couldn't hear what you were saying or anything, but we just did everything. It's like, dude, I was freaking out too. I was like, and I do that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the basic fact.
And it's funny because that came up in, let me look here. It was the Bible devotion that I think it was last night. Let me look at something. Faithful and not fearful, right? So it's talking about being brave. The word brave is a powerful word to rally around the idea of being unafraid and conquering all the scary things in life. But being brave puts the responsibility on us, leaving it up to us to muster up the courage from some deep reserve. It sounds romantic, but it's not always possible. Sometimes we just don't have the bravery we need for certain situations, and our fears end up crippling us. Rather than trying to live unafraid, what we really need to do is live fearlessly. Being fearless does not mean living without the absence of fear or with the absence of fear. It means moving forward in spite of our fear. And it means walking in obedience to God even when we're terrified of what it could cost us. Right? So I was last night's devotion really kind of just like that hit, like that resonated with me. Because I had these conversations with Mindy before, where, moving down to the Houston area, this coming summer, when her and I get married, it's scary. It's not scary as in like, oh God, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? It's scary because it's new. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the road's going to look like. I mean, I'm not talking about physical asphalt road. I'm talking about the path. What's this journey going to look like? And it's really easy for us to kind of just sit back and fall into that complacency of the familiar. Like, yeah, okay, I can stay here and just continue to work the job that I've got now, or find something else while staying here because it's comfortable. It's what I know. I've been back in town since 2002.
Yeah.
So it's like, full on 22 years next year, or 20 years. Well, was it 20 years? Yeah, 20 years. And it'll be the longest that I've stayed in any one place at any given moment during the course of my life. Growing up as a Navy brat, we moved every 3-4 years, and it was that constant flux of change, right? So there's one thing that's always stays the same is that things will always change. That's the one constant in life. It's kind of funny, but
a lot of people fear that change when
they do, and I tried to explain it to her, and I think I did a pretty good job of it. It's like, I'm not saying I want out. That's not it at all, and I'm not saying this is something that I don't want to do, or it's something that I'm being forced into. I'm making this choice.
By the way, who's the team that's going on the Armed Forces Bowl?
Army versus Missouri. So when when I'm talking about, it's scary. It's like, okay, and it's just because of the unknown. Like, yeah, we can plan the best that we can for certain contingencies in life.
How do you spell Missouri?
Missouri.
God damn.
But
there we go.
Did I have it right?
No, I had it terribly wrong.
No, did I spell it right?
Yeah.
Okay,
You spelled it right.
right.
I just my dyslexia kicked in and just started not doing.
But it's what is it? General Patton said that. What was it? I'm trying to paraphrase.
It's Wednesday,
here.
right?
Yeah, today's Sunday. Oh no, yeah, it's Wednesday the 22nd at 7 o'clock. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff at Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, the TCU campus. So General Patton, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing here because I can't remember the exact quote, but it's like, you know what? I don't want to screw this up here. Hold on, let me look here. He would say things like, "Courage is fear holding on a minute longer." If we take the generally accepted definition of bravery as a quality which knows no fear, I have never seen a brave man. All men are frightened. The more intelligent they are, the more frightened they are.
Wednesday at what time?
7 o'clock.
PM?
Yes. It's 1900 to those military people. Let me see here. Like, battle is the most magnificent competition in which a human being can indulge. It brings out all that is best. It removes all that is base. All men are afraid in battle. The coward is the one who lets fear overcome his sense of duty. Duty is a sense of manhood. So it's bravery is the actions taken in the presence of fear.
Yeah.
So when we get that kind of thing, we get that word bravery twisted up. Bravery is kind of like almost exclusive to combat anymore nowadays. And when we get these people from like the LGBTQ, like, oh, they're being so brave. And then you get those ones that are part of that community. They're like, I'm braver than any person who's ever been shot at. It's like, no, you're not. Not to discount what they're doing as being brave. Because when you look at it from their point of view, yeah,
there's some bravery.
There's some bravery in it, but it's because let's not get it so twisted out of context that you're trying to redefine what the word bravery means.
Yeah, because bravery really is doing something even though you have fear.
Yeah, it's like on 9/11 with the first responders going into those towers, knowing that those towers were going to come down at any moment. They ran into those towers knowing full well the dangers of their chosen profession, knowing that they might not make it out of it. And even though when they started to realize on the individual level, each and every one of those firefighters and police officers and Port Authority officials running back into those burning buildings, trying to save as many people as they possibly could, or at the very least understanding, okay, now we're blocked. We have no point of egress. We need to get as many people together to try to make this transition into death.
Yeah.
As seamless as possible. And and that's when I think about bravery, that's what I think. I think bravery is running into a dangerous situation knowing that it could cost you everything, to include your life.
Yeah.
But you do it anyway because when then we go back to the Patton quote where he's like, duty is a sense of manhood, and even more nowadays with women being, filling those roles that are traditionally male roles, like the police officers, the first responders, or even firefighters at this point, and to a degree, some combat arms, MOSs in the military, they step into that, and duty is a sense of at this point now being a human being.
Yeah, because you even have to fight off the people that you go against. Like now, it's politically brave. It's I'm willing, like people calling. I'm not saying that he's not a brave person or anything, but people saying Chris Pratt's so brave because he's saying what stuff that he believes in, and not. I was like,
and the only reason why they say that is because they normalize atheism. They normalize the left's viewpoint.
They're trying to freaking normalize pedophilia.
Yeah, no,
and
there are some things.
No,
there are some things in this world that need to stay classified as being just actually, what they are. It's evil.
Yeah.
Like pedophilia. There's nothing brave about coming out as being a pedophile. Like, are you serious? Come on now. Yeah, it could very well cost you your life. But at that point, if you're getting your rocks off on kids, there's something seriously wrong with you. There is nothing normal about that behavior.
And what's really sad is they're considering if you're saying stuff against pedophilia that you're bullying. A lot of people are getting shot off on certain social media platforms because of that.
If it costs us our platform on things like YouTube, or if it ultimately costs us this show,
yeah,
hey, you know what? Fine, because I'll adopt your mentality and say I'm being brave for standing up for my beliefs. I'm being brave. We are being brave for standing up for what we believe to be right.
Yeah,
and you and I have that mentality that doing the right thing may cost us.
Yeah.
And if it costs us, then to me, it's worth the price of admission. Because play the world's biggest game of fuck around and find out. You approach my kids or the kids of my loved ones with the intent of stealing their innocence because you have
Affliction.
and I want to stay away from the word affliction because I don't want to look at that as being a disability.
Okay.
I want to look at you because you have an affinity for looking at little boys and girls as opposed to people your own age.
Yeah, at that point in time, you won't be one, you'd be calling me, and then two, you'd be calling 811.
Yeah, right. And then we'll call the police and be like, hey, there's some, we'll go out, we'll dig something, or we'll be like, hey, look, there was some unsettled dirt and it didn't look right, and it's out here by this little area, and then once that whole thing dies out, they don't refill the holes.
Yeah.
You
call in an anonymous tip.
you call in an anonymous tip and be like, hey, there was this thing, but it, but then this person will not be a problem anymore for anybody else for the rest of forever.
Oh, yeah.
And no, we're not advocating physical violence upon pedophilia or pedophiles, but
Legally, we're not.
To be completely and perfectly transparent, chomos have no place in this world.
Yeah.
Kind of like people who believe that pineapple don't have a place on pizza. I mean, you have your opinion. Unfortunately, it's wrong. But I digress. No. Show me on that bad touch, bad touch Bob doll where pineapple touched you.
All right.
Where did the pineapple touch you?
Okay.
Where on Bad Touch Bob? We're calling him Bad Touch Bob.
Okay.
And credit to my fiance Mindy because she gave us that name.
It was right around there.
And
then it started going down to the groin area, and it was awkward at that moment and everything like that. And I ran.
So you're admitting that you are now a fruitophile.
Fuck. There's no good answer for that one.
No, there is not. No, there's not.
God, that was good play there, sir. That was good play.
But I mean, we could go on for hours about this, and
because we still have one little thing that we have to address of what happened this weekend. Maria, our super fan, the one that listens to us constantly, which I'll officially say it like this: it was an interesting and fun pinky in the brain moment. We almost conquered the world. That's what happened. It wasn't one of those things of we got so sloshed or anything like that. We just had like a couple of beers. We had some really good food and everything. I made sure we go to the spots that had like really, really good food. Mm-hmm. And it was a fun time. And we will not say a lot of the place. We went to a comic book store. And it was that whole thing about trying to get her.
You introduced her to Larry over at Collector's Den, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Not Collector's Den.
Is it? No?
Galaxy Books and Comics.
Was it Galaxy?
Yeah, Larry's up at Galaxy.
That's right. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy over at Collector's Den.
I don't know the guy at Collector's Den. I know Pegasus Loft, but that guy I still don't like him all too much, even when I was a kid.
Right.
But no, we had some interesting mishaps happening.
Okay.
Where she accidentally chest bumped a coat rack, or not coat rack. No, it was a clothing rack, and she, I was laughing so hard when she did it. It was so funny because she just full on, like, chest bumped it on accident. I was like, man, I didn't say anything. I just, in my head, I was like, oh my God, this is just going to be the awkward moment when it was just it was just so funny. But we ended up having a lot of good laughs and everything, and we enjoyed each other's company to the point where, we had, it was just oh, man, I think
So
I lost.
it was good for you to finally connect.
Yes.
To put a face with the name. So yeah, I mean,
And oh man, it was just.
I've known Maria for
I think the only time that we did.
about and and it dawned on me. It's been 26 years since I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've known Maria probably. See, I met her in the fall of my sophomore year. So I've known her for. Oh, wow. I've known her for just about like 28, 29 years. We've known each other for almost 30 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And she's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, holy crap. It's at that moment she's going to be driving down the road and she's going to experience a random pain like in every one of her joints. And she's going to be like, fuck, I'm fucking old.
Yeah. Well, no. The only time frame that we didn't laugh was when we were at the range because I mean she's good at pistols. She had her stance and everything like that, but she was using my pistols, so she was getting kind of like. She wasn't getting pissed off. She was trying to figure out how to get the aiming on that.
Right,
because it was the P320.
Right, and it tracks low if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, trying to explain somebody to adjust their point of aim.
Yeah.
Without having gone through like a BRM class, it's so hard because you're just like, don't adjust the sights to the strike of the round. You have to adjust the strike of the round to.
Yeah, but
with pistols you have to do that. But with like rifles, whenever you're zeroing a rifle in, yeah, you adjust your sights to the strike of the round, and then you move back to your original point of aim. But
yeah, well, when we got to the rifles,
not point of aim, adjusting your sight picture. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
But unless you're using a scope, the scope's totally different though.
Even then, your
Really?
sight picture, yeah, because depending on where your eye relief is, it's going to change your sight picture.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's like if you got a front sight post on your rifle, and you're using a scope or you're using a red dot, your sight picture, where your eye relief is, mm-hmm. and where you position yourself on that cheek well, it could throw everything off.
Yeah, but once we got to the rifle and everything, because she said she learned, she was shooting more AKs, mm-hmm. and her and her husband started getting into AR styles because I think he has like a 300 blackout one, mm-hmm. and she showed me pictures of the range, and it was like shooting in a barrel. I was like, whatever you do not get a muzzle.
A muzzle brake.
A muzzle brake. She's like, really? I was like, oh my god, that's so scary. Because I saw it, I was like, I forgot to send her the video of the guy like passing out because of the muzzle brake.
Mm-hmm. Just from the sheer concussion.
Yeah, because it all goes out, and when you have something like that, and you're in a tunnel, and it's a tunnel, because they shoot in like it literally is like.
Yeah, it's a concrete tube.
Yeah,
that goes all the way down. Yeah, I saw that same video. They were shooting a short-barreled Barrett.
Yeah,
and it was like an 18-inch Barrett.
Dude, he had like blood coming out of his nose, ears.
He did,
and he was out cold for like.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I'm like, oh no. That's one of those situations where it's like, take the damn muzzle brake off and put on a flash suppressor, or just shoot straight from the end of the barrel.
Yeah.
But like, just don't.
Yeah. And they were in an enclosed thing, and then she was showing me pictures of that range. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, life hack: don't shoot a Barrett with a muzzle brake indoors. Period.
No, don't shoot anything with a muzzle brake. I mean, look at the 300 blackout we were shooting with the Kenny.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that across the whole freaking range.
Well, yeah, but we were still under cover.
Yeah.
And
think about it this way: I could still feel the pressure coming off of it. Now, if we were a little bit enclosed and we were a little bit closer to each other, and it would, like the pistol range. Mm-hmm. You know how the pistol range.
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's an echo chamber. If the sound waves don't have anywhere to go, the concussion, or the concussive forces from the gas release isn't going to have any place to go either.
Yeah.
So if you're going to shoot a muzzle brake, do it outside.
Yeah.
Like on a long distance range.
But she was I know from what she told me she did ROTC, so she's used to rifles and everything. But she said she was reorienting herself to
Dirty secret. The ROTC program at Ryder when we were going through it, and they might still do it. Pellet rifles.
Kenny was using 22s at Hershey.
Yeah. When did Kenny graduate?
He graduated like 2000? No, 99.
Okay. Her and I graduated in 95. So there was no live ammunition being used in the range at that time. They may have gone and brought in 22s because even like with the competition marksmanship teams, they all used pellet guns.
Well, no. But
I mean, granted, a 22 will give you the same jerk, same recoil as an air gun, but still.
But she said she hadn't up until like recently with her and her husband 12 years and not shooting. So, and I was giving her little tips with the AR because she kept on when she was getting it back to going to fire, she would take her hand and put it on fire and go up. I was like,
use your thumb.
Yeah. I kept on trying to get her to use her thumb. She was like, well, I already have. I was like, I'm just letting you know beforehand.
Yeah. Well, like
and then
me, because like me, I'm left-handed, right? I'm a left-handed shooter, so I mean, I use my index finger. I use my bang switch, my bang hook.
I don't know why you don't get it. I don't know why you.
And I was just about to bring that up. I was thinking about doing an ambidextrous switch on it, but I'm like, I don't. Yeah.
They have like really cool switches and it would really work. But if you just have to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, as opposed to going like this.
But you also have better.
I can go like that.
But think about it this way. You got better motion with your thumb than you do with your finger.
That's true. Because
you can put it on fire and then you can flip it back with your thumb and put it on safe. That's the reason why if you I think I see you do it a couple of times. And I showed her this little trick I learned from a friend of mine. Is you put it on fire, but when you're doing it safety, you just bring your whole hand and you just put it up like that. It's one full fluid motion. One you're not even going near the trigger.
Well, like on a 308, or a like a Remington 700. You get behind it and you got that bolt action, and they have always got that safety that sits right up underneath the.
Yeah.
That to me, that's just. I mean, and regardless is because your hand it's not a pistol grip like the AR or an AK platform. I mean, it's that rifle stock. So I mean, you can just move that thumb up and operate the safety that way, but.
Yeah, and that's more or less an ambidextrous.
Yeah, I mean that's the true definition of ambidextrous, but
except for the bolt.
Yeah, well, the bolt. I mean, and to me, even as a left-handed shooter, I am so used to being able to go like this.
Yeah.
Because you don't. I mean, it's still either way.
But you have a little bit more faster rate of fire only because of that.
Yeah, well, because I'm left-handed and my hand's already down here.
Yeah.
So I just can't, like, you get a lot, like when I was a 50 cal gunner. So, and anytime like you're on a belt-fed weapon, unless you specifically request it, they're all left-hand feed. They all come in because all the belts are fed from the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, and whether it's the 50, the 240, the 249, or whatever the new variant that the Marine Corps is trying to field now, but even the Mark 19, Mark 19 is a left-hand fed.
Yeah.
Now if you look at the bolt on an M2 50 cal, I mean there is the option on the top of the bolt carrier where you can switch that over to have it fed from the right side. But the only time you're going to see that is when you're operating a dual system. Like on the anti-air, like the Stinger vehicles. They operate the dual 50s, one on each side. This one will be left hand, this one will be fed right hand, and it's just pulling the ammo in that way. But to me, I mean, it's like when I learned how to play golf. My dad was trying to teach me how to play golf. My dad's right-handed. I'm left-handed. I learned how to play golf playing right-handed. Now, that's probably a big reason why I have an incredibly atrocious slice. When I hit something off the tee, that ball travels about 150 to 200 yards, and then it just goes, just takes off to the right. I'm like, fuck, So I'll have to sit there, and unless for whatever reason I hone my inner John Daly, and I get just like this masterful drive, I have to aim way left to play my slice, So, I mean, at some point, would I like to pick up a set of left-handed clubs and teach myself how to play lefty? Yeah, I'd probably take care of my slice. Of course, the universe being what it is, I'll probably develop a really atrocious hook. And everything will go straight off to the left, and I'll be like, what the fuck is going on here?
I can't win.
But golf, just like anything else, whether it's shooting, whatever it is that you do, those hobbies, those activities, they will throw out just enough of a nugget just to keep you interested, to keep you coming back. It's like the last time that I played an actual round of golf. I was out there with a guy that I'm friends with by the name of Chris, and we called him the Dude. My pitching wedge, and my dad was out there, right? So my pitching wedge had been not treating me nice at all that day. Like I could get him, I try to line the shot up, and I'll either top the ball or I'll just pop it straight up, and it wasn't doing what I needed it to do. And I was so pissed. I think it was like the 14th hole. Mm-hmm. And it was a par 4, and I'm like, fuck, okay, so my drive didn't go very far, like at all. I topped the crap out of it. This thing just worm burner, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just like, So I tried to hit my approach shot, and again was I used a 9-iron for my approach, right? Because it was a long par 4, but still, I landed 50 yards short of the pin with my approach, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm trying to get on the green here. And so I just yanked my pitching wedge out of the bag, and I'm like, I don't even go up to address the ball. I don't steady my stance, nothing. I just, at this point, I'm just going to hack at it. I do not care. My dad's on the backside of the green down in the sand bunker, or the sand trap on the backside, because he's fixing to hit it out. And because he hit the green in 2, but it rolled off the backside. He's just like grumbling. You go out to a golf course to get close to God. And it's not that it's a spiritual experience. You just spend a lot of time cussing at God.
Yeah.
And so my dad's on the backside. He's in the sand trap.
Was that Caddyshack where the priest was trying to golf?
Yeah, he's like, he's playing the best round of his life, and he gets struck by lightning because he drops GD on the course. Yeah. There comes Bill Murray. He's like, he takes his clubs and he goes, leaves the body out on the green. But because he was caddying for the priest, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the dude is standing over there by the golf cart, and I'm like, fuck this bullshit. Get out there, and I'm like, okay. And I stand in front of the ball. I'm like half-assing my address, to the ball, and I just like that, and it just, for whatever reason, came off the club face really like weird, right? Like, wait a minute, is that what it's supposed to feel like, right? Because you remember like the old Tiger Wood PGA Tour games, like when you hit that good shot and then it goes letterbox and everything goes into slow motion, you hear that heartbeat. That shit happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I'm sitting there going, and then like in my mind, my mind went letterbox, like it went widescreen, and then everything slowed down. I heard this boom, 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 boom. I'm like, where's my controller so I can affect the spin of the ball, right? I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this shot. I'm 50 yards from the hole, and it hits the fringe, pops up, lands on the green, catches the break, and just rolls. And I'm sitting there going, and we were both going, yeah. We were just kind of like running towards the green going, yeah, look at that. And the guys that are on the fairway next to us, they're like, look at that. You know, my dad's back there on the backside. He is oblivious to everything going on because he's still trying to figure out what his shot's going to be, right? All he knows is that he hears a bunch of fucking commotion on the you know, over the top of the hill. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there watching it, and we're just like, oh, 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 oh. And it's rolling towards the hole. I hold it from 50 yards out. I chipped in for birdie from 50 yards out.
Oh, wow.
Right? First and only birdie I've ever hit in my life, dude. My pitching wedge, all I remember is that my pitching wedge went straight up in the air. I threw my club up in the air. And then I look over, and I was just like, "Do you believe that?" And he's like, "Your club." And I'm like, "Oh." You know. And so my dad, he pitches out of the bunker, and you know, he was a pretty good layup shot too, because I mean he got like 3 feet from the pin. And he's like, "What the fuck is all that noise about?" I'm like, "I chipped it in from 50 yards, you know." And he's like, "What?" And I walk over and I pick the ball out of the hole, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, get off the fucking green," you know. And I'm like, "I'm keeping this ball." And it was you know, back when Nike made really great golf equipment, so it was one of my Nike golf balls, and I'm like, "I'm keeping this." And so I'm like, "Where's that Sharpie?" And I instantly wrote, "Chip in 50 yards," you know. And I somewhere, I don't think that ball survived my divorce, but you know, I'm like, like that ball, I never played with that ball again, like ever, like, you know, like I used up all the good juju in that ball, and I'm just sitting there going, man, that's crazy. And like I'm sitting there, like even when I think back to it, like my brain doesn't register it in real time. Like legitimately, that shot played out in slow motion. And I'm sitting there going, see, it's the little shit like that that makes me want to keep playing this game, even though it pisses me off, right? And to, you know, like that was the best shot that I had ever taken in my life. And as a matter of fact, the last time that I ever played golf was out at River Creek out by Burke. Mm-hmm. That's a nice course, by the way. I mean, hands down, one of the. I mean, it's the.
You ever play the Shepherd course?
I played Wind Creek, but I didn't like it. And of course, the day that we went out there to go play it, it was overcast, it was windy, and they had just aerated the entire course.
Oh.
So we had all those dirt plugs everywhere, and it just, dude, it was just so off, right? I wasn't impressed with it. I really wasn't. River Creek, though, is an amazing course, especially when I mean, everything is green and everything's kept, and you're just like, man, this is a nice course. You know, they've got a par 5 that's got like this huge 90-degree dog leg that turns to the left, and you can shortcut it if you've got like a 5-iron or something like that with a decent amount of lift on it and still distance, you know, as far as like, you know, that happy median, right? Mm-hmm. The other two guys in my you know, we had Nathan and Chris. Nathan, we called him the Don, right? Because he looks like a short, fat Italian, right?
Okay.
And Nathan, if you ever listen to this show, dude, I know I mean that lovingly, right? But then, you know, Chris is the dude. Well, because he's the dude, right?
Okay.
You know, or your dudeness, if you're into the whole brevity thing. You got that reference, right?
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski, right?
Yeah, Big
okay.
Lebowski.
All right. So we went to River Creek and everything like that, and I had won the hole before, right? I hold out first. So it would, you know, the rule is that if you hold out first, or if you win that hole, if you get the better score on the previous hole, you get to tee off on the next hole.
Yeah.
So we get up to this par 5, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I know I can't hit that shit straight for shit. So I can't lay up with a club to hit to that, you know, to get to that turn to where, you know, I have the longer shot down the straightaway going towards, you know, down the fairway towards the hole. So I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I'm feeling cocky. So, you know, we all decide, like, you know what, I'm going to try to cut the corner. You know, I'm going to try to hit over that corner to try to get into the fairway. So I hit dude, and actually, I used a 3-wood. I used a fairway wood off of the tee. So I teed it up, and I hit that thing, and it went straight. It went where I wanted it to go, and it was beautiful, right? It cuts the corner, It cuts that dog leg completely out of the hole, and it landed through the canopy in the trees, and it bounced out onto the fairway. And I was like, oh man, that was great. But and that was the same day. Same day, they have this uphill par 4. I hit onto the green in one, right? I mean, I drove onto the green on this par 4. I still got a bogey on it because I can't putt for shit, right? Like, I lost my shit that day. But like,
you needed that hockey puck.
The hockey club, right? Yeah, exactly. So like, my best score ever. I mean, I shot an 89. Still shitty score, but I'm like, and I shot an 89 that day. I'm like, oh yeah, that was fucking great, But I keep threatening to clean my clubs up and like go out to the driving range and like one of these days just go play a round of golf, just to go, I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, but it's kind of like, you have those things that you enjoy doing, right? Mm-hmm. Like some people, they enjoy playing baseball. Other guys enjoy playing golf. People enjoy playing football. But it's like when you get the opportunity to go do that thing you love at one of the most storied venues that are associated with your hobby or your sport, you don't want to do it. You do, because you just want to be able to say that you did it. Like I had the opportunity to take the option of taking batting practice at Fenway Park. When the batting cage is under, down on in
yeah,
by the clubhouses and crap, right? And I was like, I decided not to do it because to me, I would get in there and I would suck so bad that it would be a disservice. It would almost be like I'm putting my stank on the park, and Red Sox would never win there again because I decided to go out there and fucking stink up the joint. Most golfers, they're like, man, I would love to go play around at Pebble Beach, or I would love to go play around at Augusta, or even the old course in St. Andrews in Scotland, right? Mm-hmm. No, I don't want to go out there and shoot 100 or 110 just to say I went there and I played that course. No, I want to get good so that way whenever I can play on that course, I shoot a respectable score, or I at least get close to par. Which is like 72. I would love to be able to do that. Unfortunately, and our buddy Zach Medford, he would attest to this. That is easier said than done, and it takes a lot of practice. Now, Zach he's trying to get the money together to apply for his PGA card. So, and he didn't pick up the game of golf until he got back from Afghanistan. But he's a natural at it.
Oh, really?
Oh, God. I mean, the dude's good. I mean, he's not like lights out scratch golfer, where he plays with like a 0 handicap or anything like that. But, I mean, the dude's good. I mean, he'll have his bad days or whatever. He'll get out there and play scrambles and, and really for like nerd sports one of these days, I just need to call him and be like, hey, dude, you need to be on the show so that way we can talk about the game of golf and how infuriatingly peaceful it is. And yes, that combination of those two words actually works. But
well, it's just basically like hunting. Most of the time, it's you get your. I was talking to Marie about it. Even like John Dudley and stuff like that, where they'll say it's like once you go hunting, you don't even want to touch your bow sometimes. Because you got those super highs, and then you have those lows, and you're just like, you know what? Fuck this shit.
Yeah, like I've got almost 3 dozen, I've got almost 4 dozen broadheads sitting at the house, right? Mm-hmm. And 4 dozen? Are you kidding me? No, stupid ass. I've got almost 2 dozen broadheads sitting at the house. I'm thinking 8, no. 6, no. A dozen is 12, stupid. Look at me. I'm smart and learning things. I'm helping.
Right now.
I had another wrinkle to the cortex there. But.
We gotta keep this like right here now.
Yeah. Right?
I forgot to bring it down.
Yeah, there you go. But, so, I'm just kind of like. I want to go. I want to go bow hunting so bad.
Honestly, we're at the point right now where you don't want to. Basically, keep on practicing, and then hopefully, whenever it is, I think it's in April. It might be in March. We will go to the TAC.
Yeah. Hopefully, as far as like time and everything like that, because with work, I mean, they know that I'm 5.5 months away from leaving.
Yeah.
For good. So, I'm hoping now they're. This is one of those I have to sit down with the boss and have a serious heart to heart. Like I'm gonna need, as that time approaches, I'm gonna have to be like, hey, I'm gonna need to leave early, or I'm gonna need a couple of days because there's gonna be a lot of traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna get real familiar with the 287 to 35 to back to 287 to to 45, then to 288. I mean, I'm going to get real familiar with that drive, and the only reason why I would need to pull out my Waze app is so that way Master Chief can tell me there's police reported ahead.
Yeah.
Did you call for backup?
But back to my story a little bit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take that over.
You totally took it over.
I hijacked that shit. I'm so
sorry.
sorry.
I showed her because I seen the photos of her kid shooting and everything, and they were just doing it with hands. And I just grabbed this like cinder block. I was like, place the cinder block. First, she put it like on top of the front part. Mm-hmm. I was like, no. This is made to where if you have something like that, you can be in between the magazine well and the handle up front. Mm-hmm. Put it in there. And I was like, okay, now. You're gonna see like 100% difference, maybe about 300% difference on your shot. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, because your third point of God, what is it called? I had it when I was talking to her with it. But anyways, your third point's gonna be stable.
Yeah.
Because you got your shoulder, you got your handle or trigger. Mm-hmm. And then you got your front par.
Yeah.
And she started shooting like that. She's like, "Oh my God, I hit the orange." I was like, "Yeah."
It's called the seated, or it's called the supported position, where there's the supported seated, supported prone, or the supported kneeling. So
no.
It's when the barrel is supported. It's always going to be classified as a supported firing position because you've got that stability, whether it's external or internal. You're going to have that support.
3 points of stability. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay. And on pistols, you only have like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Depending on how you're shooting.
Yeah.
And I showed her that, and she's like, "I hit the orange." I was like, "Yeah, you hit the orange." I mean, she was like high up there, and I was like, "Oh, good."
Now even though your orange. It's like taking a kid bowling, and the first time that they don't have to use bumpers. It's like, oh my God, I got a strike. Yeah, well, too bad that counted on the other guy's lane.
No, we were using the same target out, but the thing was I got like 3 shots. No, I think I got 4 shots in the orange. But she finally I was like, well, it's, and I even told her, I mean, especially with scopes and sights and everything, with rifles and everything, it's geared for that person.
Yeah.
So I was surprised you were able to hit the orange with my rifle, because our everything about me and her is totally different.
Right, and I've noticed, like, because I shot your Saint, and our zero is not that far off from each other. Which is weird because you're a right-handed shooter, I'm a left-handed shooter, so our points of our sight pictures and points of aim are completely different.
You know what's really funny? Try shooting the 308. You shot, it was almost dead on, right?
You talking about Kenny's?
No.
Your 308?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also shot Kenny's.
Yeah, but mine was almost dead on for you, right?
Yeah, and it was the same thing with Kenny.
I had to fix it. Dad, when he was, because that's Dad's gun. And me setting it up with, he set it up.
So you're saying that your dad's zero and my zero are almost the same on that rifle?
There's a reason for that, and it almost wasn't. He had his glasses off when he was zeroing in the first time.
Really?
Yes.
So that's just happenstance. Okay.
Oh, and And when I set it up again, well, when I was shooting with it, when he actually finished zeroing it out without his glasses on,
Right.
I was like, boom. Oh, I'm not even hitting the I'm hitting all way over there. So I took I did the sniper thing. I took the dots, I looked at it and everything like that, and I shot the target and I shot dead center. He's like, how'd you do that? I was like, well, I judged where your bullet was going, and you're wondering why you're missing your shots. Remember, I told you to put your glasses on?
Yeah, you adjusted the windage.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Kentucky windage, that's what it's called.
Yeah, because I remember like during our BRM phase in basic, they were like, you can only zero in to so much, or to so, you can only zero so much, but then you have to figure in your Kentucky windage, and we're like, Kentucky, what the?
Oh yeah, the wind was horrible this
Well,
week.
no, and we're not talking about wind drift.
Yeah.
We're not talking about actual wind speeds.
But it's just
we're talking about the left to right.
Yeah.
And because like you can only adjust those sights to the left or to the right so far because they've got that mechanical limitation.
Well, it's the same thing with the bow too.
It is.
Especially if you're going
speaking of which, ooh, dude, I saw the craziest video. It's on TikTok. I sent it to Mindy. I was like, I need this sight in my life. It is a laser range finding, self-adjusting bow sight.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Where it's like the
fucking
whole
stupid,
thing,
ridiculously expensive.
right?
Too.
It like
$1,000.
And it hit. You paint your target, and it tells you what pin to use, and then you just okay. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I mean, to me, it's the concept is cool because they integrated the two different mechanical devices into one. Where it just tells you, hey, okay. Instead of giving you a digital readout, it just tells you what pin to go to. You still have to zero that sight in according to those distance mark or the
Yeah,
distance
you have
settings.
to get them set up.
But I'm like, man, that's just cool. I mean, to me, I'm like, ooh, flashy lights. I went total redneck on it. I was like, like Jeff Foxworthy said, that's why you only hear about rednecks giving UFO reportings, because it's like UFOs are reported to shiny objects like bass boats, fishing lures, and beer cans. And I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. Oh, shiny lights. Oh my God. And you did a button. I'm just like, oh, I'm geeking out. I'm like a fat redneck who just hit the lottery and walked into a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if I ever hit the Powerball, I'm just sitting there going, I'm buying a horse. I'm buying this. I'm buying that. I'm like,
dude, I'm the same fucking way. You're just like thinking of all these kinds of stuff.
To me, at this point, I know it's just cathartic therapy for me just to be able to sit there and window shop during a daydream. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep a lawyer that eats other lawyers in this county for lunch. I'm gonna keep him on retainer. And
because I'm gonna do some fucking stupid ass shit.
No, it's not that I'm gonna do stupid things. It's gonna be like, go ahead and come at me. And my lawyer is going to come up here and he's going to make you cry. And he's going to make the judge cry. He's going to make your lawyer cry. He's going to make your lawyer contemplate their professional decision. And, but all that aside, I'm like, I'm going to buy this. I want to buy that. It's not one of these I'm going to be broke in a year and a half spending $300-something million. I mean, within reason, of course. Like, I want to be able to pay for the house, keep, like note free, like,
yeah.
And then
set a little bit aside so you don't have to worry about the taxes.
Yeah, well, because if you take the cash option, they pay your taxes. Like you get that lump sum minus whatever your taxes are going to be.
Well, no, I'm talking about like the taxes on the house and everything.
Well, with the veteran disability letter, I would offset that anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I'm 80% disabled. So if I were to, in Texas, you take your disability rating to the tax appraiser for that county that you live in. Mm-hmm. Now you can only do it with one property. So if you own multiple properties, you got to pick and choose which one you want.
Oh, okay.
So, like if when I move down there, I can take my disability rating letter to the tax appraiser for the county. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we'll have to do. They'll look it up and they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, you're on the deed, so you own this property. They'll take my 80% and they'll discount my property taxes by 80% per year.
Oh wow!
And if my rating goes up, like I have a friend here that lives in town, he's rated at 100%. He took his 100% letter down to the tax office here, and he pays 0 property tax on his house.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So, and it's a Texas veteran program, you know. So I'm like, all right, well, that's cool, you know. So, and it's not like they consider that income. Like, you know, they don't sit there and go, well, we're going to tax you on this 80%. No. I mean, you're just paying that 20%, you know, the 20% difference. So, I mean, even that, I mean, that's saving like thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, while you still want to take that out and kind of just, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and pay my property taxes for the year. You know, like just go down there and be like, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and get this put on file so that way you guys don't charge me the full amount every year. I want to go ahead and take the time to pay my 20% now so that way you can't bug me, you know.
Yeah.
Which I have this huge problem with property taxes anyway, especially if like your kids don't go to school in that county or if they don't go to the public schools in that county. Like if you're homeschooling, why should I have to pay school tax? If you're retired and you're an empty nester, why should you should get an exemption from property taxes?
No, my thing on that is why, like, you're paying the service of water, but you're paying the property tax. You should pay the water. Why is your water free?
Right. Well, it's because places like Wichita County, you know, they go out and they get all those wireless water meters to where the water guy doesn't have to go and pop a lid anymore and get bit by a rattlesnake. They can just read that shit digitally. Mm-hmm. And well, what they did is when they put in all those Wi-Fi, you know, all those wireless water meters, mm-hmm. they charged everybody to put those in because the county couldn't afford to pay for them so up front. So what they did is they passed that cost along to the residents here in the county. And that's why everybody's bills went from like $40, $50 a month to $100 a month. And everybody's like, well, I'm not using that much water. Well, like, well, where are you paying for the meters? The meters already been paid for. They've been paid for a couple of years now. But the price of water has not gone down. Well, they're citing, well, drought this, and well, we're paying for that reclamation project, which, by the way, they killed because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And like with this lake trail thing, right?
Yeah, they just stopped it because
they stopped it.
Those people are just up there, like sitting around.
Yeah. The Department of Transportation is refusing to grant the money to the city to finish that trail because the city has told them, well, if we need to, we will use eminent domain to take these people's private property for them to complete this trail. Well, like, no. You know, had they done their surveys and everything like that correctly, and if they wanted to, and in fact, the state told them, if you wanted this funding, if you wanted a grant to finish this project, you should have never put the trail where you put it, like the additions on there. Mm-hmm. Like if American Legion Post 120 would have stood their ground, because the trail extended from where it ended originally, right there by the post. It now goes through the back of their post, their property. It didn't really take anything away from the Wild Bird Sanctuary because they just put in a bridge that went over that inlet, mm-hmm. that cove. And now they took property away from Post 169, and they tried to continue it down. Well, it stopped at Larry's Marina, because Larry's Marina down there on Lake Road. Mm-hmm. He was like, no. He headed that whole thing up because there's people that pop property along the lakeshore for the purpose of having lakefront property. And the city was proposing going in and running the trail, in some cases, 3 feet from people's front porch.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And so the city was just so disconnected with, well, we wanted it this way. Well, no. You have people with private property. They bought that property for the purpose of having it on the lake. And now you're talking about putting a walking / running / whatever trail 3 feet from their front door? No, negative Ghost Rider. So, as you know, you go down along Lake Road, it's got that huge swath of just unused land across the street from these properties, right? These homes. Mm-hmm. And even to an extent, there's property on that side of the road anyway, so they could have run that trail back behind these people's homes.
Yeah.
And they could have connected it to the Barnett Road trails, and it could have completed the trail,
Yeah.
right? Well, as it is, the engineers and the architects for this trail, they didn't really do their homework, because, like, if you go out there to 169, if you go back there and you look where that trail's being constructed back there, they've got the bridge that comes across the cove from the Wild Bird Sanctuary. They ran concrete on that little finger right there into another bridge that gapped that cove onto 169's property. Well, when that bridge comes down, they realized, oh, now they're going to take more property from us than they thought they were. They decided, oh, well, when you come off of that bridge, it takes an immediate 90-degree turn to the left and then takes another one back to the right to hug the
So basically,
shoreline.
what you're saying, it's a engineering mix-up.
Oh, dude, it's atrocious, man. And we're just sitting there going, these cyclists, they're going to come in rollerbladers, whatever. They're going to come off of these bridges. They're going to be cruising right along. And they're going to eat it, man. We're just thinking, how are they going to work that? Like, how are you going to keep your speed up? So, I'm thinking, we'll do a little NASCAR engineering here. We'll put a banked turn coming off of that. Just see people, But just like everything else that the government in this county in city tries to put their hands on, it is the exact opposite of King Midas. Everything that they touch turns to shit.
I know.
Like when you go out to the MPAC and they've got all of that parking that used to be out there, it's all gone. They tore out all that parking lot to build that convention center with the hotel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, really? Instead of building a brand new damn ass hotel, buy the one over there by the fall, or don't even buy the one by the falls. Tear that sumbitch down, because nobody's ever going to be able to use it again because it's in a floodplain, right?
Yeah.
The Holiday Inn that's right there by the retirement home. You know which one I'm talking about? Buy that building and renovate it. It'd be cheaper.
I think that one's still on a floodplain, too.
No.
Not as bad as the Sheridan.
No. The Sheridan. Oh, I'm talking about the one. It used to be the Ramada Inn or whatever.
No, I know what
it's
you're
got the
talking
elevators.
about,
And
yeah.
it's really nice on the inside. Because, that one has gone just like the one out by the falls. They both. They used to be really nice, and they went through so many ownership changes. They just kept degrading over the course of the years.
Yeah, both of them really have.
Yeah, like the one that's over by the MPAC. It had a glass elevator in it. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome.
Yeah, Kenny used to work there.
Yeah. It had a really nice restaurant in it, too, if I remember.
It did.
Yeah, and so, I'm like, just buy that building, and because it would be cheaper to renovate that one than it would be to build a brand new one. But now they've already gone ahead and cut their own throats, tearing out all that parking, which is going to drive attendance down at MPAC events like hockey games or concerts. It's going to drive the attendance down on it, because people in the area are going to know parking is going to be a nightmare. And with any kind of construction site, you're risking having damage to your car. Nobody's going to want to go to a hockey game where the concessions are overpriced anyway. It's just that whole thing should have been handled way differently from the get-go.
How much was the hot dog when we went there for that con? But you said it was a ridiculous price. I just can't remember how ridiculous. I thought like $7 or something.
Yeah, it was like $7 for a really craptastic hot dog.
Yeah.
It wasn't warm. It was stuck in a warmer, but it wasn't like on one of those rotating rotisseries, and it wasn't kept in a water-based warmer. The bun was stale.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, and then they offered nothing in the way of concessions, as far as like condiments were concerned, but.
We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, we got to get out of here because we're coming up in 2 hours almost. But yeah, man. I'm trying to think of what I got going on this week. Because I know that tomorrow I've got a few errands to run.
Because the only thing we got to do tomorrow is I want to get the nerd sports out of the way, so the next day on Tuesday we can do the other twos.
Well, we need to get nerd sports done tomorrow anyway because the NFL flexed a couple of games to Tuesday night this week.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to go over the schedule for this coming week, and I'm going to figure out what our picks are going to be, so that way we can kind of get that a little bit better streamlined. Because of some of the many amazing things that happened today in the NFL. The Lions beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I seen that.
They whooped the Cardinals 30-12.
And there was another one. I sent you it.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'll go over that. The Colts beat the Patriots, and we had that pick going the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a matter of fact, I know that if Tampa Bay ends up continuing on with what the let me take a look at that score real quick. Come on, load. The internet is so lightning fast. It's funny.
Saints are 6 and Buccaneers are 0, and it's 10 minutes on the fourth quarter.
Seriously?
Yeah. But they're 10-3 anyway, so they can.
Oh well, all they got to do is score a damn touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth quarter. So, but yeah, no, I mean, if the Saints lose tonight, then the Cowboys can clinch their. Yeah, if the Saints win tonight, then the Cowboys will clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, a lot of the Cowboys fans are trying to. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the playoffs. We're going to the playoffs." I was like, "Okay."
To quote Mr. Wolf, let's not just start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you all for paying attention to our Facebook page. It's growing too.
Yeah, it is.
All of our stuff is growing.
Real quick note, just something that David brought up, and I'm looking at the whiteboard right now.
Oh, don't mention that. We're going to do it in January.
Oh, okay, fine.
We're going to do it because I want it a little bit closer to February.
Okay, so basically we have to wait 2 weeks before we say anything about it.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we can just drop a little bit of a teaser.
Okay.
In a world. Okay. So for our female faithful,
which we have 85% of, that's what.
Yeah. So our female angry faithful, keep February in mind. I'm only going to say 2 words. No, I'm going to say 1 word. No, I can do that in 2 words. Murder goodies.
Yeah.
Okay. As we get closer to the month of February, we're gonna. We
got to figure out what we're going to put in it first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just realized they have those. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay. So basically, what we're saying is, tune in. Stay tuned in. Get your friends tuned in also. Get them in on this.
And it's going to be one of those like, share, comment type deals.
Yeah, it's going to be a like, share, comment kind of a deal.
Names.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we have like
we'll make a trade.
We'll get it. No, you know what we can do? We can get a number generator. We can just go to like a number generator page, and then we'll pick.
They have like apps where you can do that.
Oh, I know. But what I'm saying is, what we can do is. We'll signify the video that we announce the details of this February thing. We'll generate, that'll be the video on YouTube that you have to generate, you have to leave a comment on, or we'll be like our Facebook post. We'll go Facebook. We'll go with Facebook. So like, on the post that we announce the details of this February thing that we're doing, we'll generate a random number and we'll go down the list. Yeah. We'll count, and that number comment will be our winner or something like that.
Yeah.
But more details will be coming. That is your teaser. That is all you're going to get for right now. Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a Christmas-themed Nerd Sports because... It's the week of Christmas, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It
We
really is.
might go a whole week.
Well, because I'm going.
Because I still gotta get an elf hat.
You better get that shit tomorrow.
I'll get it tomorrow.
Because, like I said, the NFL's got games coming up on Tuesday this week.
Yeah.
So we got to do our nerd sports tomorrow for sure.
Or if anything, I'll just get a hat.
Or a hat, yes.
Yeah.
God, now that you mention it, I've got to find a Nerf. Not a Nerf. Fuck, I got to find an elf hat or a Santa hat.
Yeah.
Jesus, I used to have one that had like the metal in it, where it like I could twist it up and make it like different shapes.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to that one.
But anyways, I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
Thank you for watching What the Hell. I gotta do